Hi, my name is William Gardner with Outdoor Kitchen TV, and this is show number 3. We're going to install our decking board under the base of our island frame here to protect the bottom from rust and to allow ventilation and to allow water drainage underneath our island. Then we're going to install cement board on the back side here where our island is up against a wall because we wouldn't be able to do it later, and cement board on top of the countertop. And then we're going to go ahead and put in our form boards and pour the concrete countertop. Now, if we weren't doing a concrete countertop, if we were doing a tile countertop or a granite slab, we would just go ahead and install all our cement board on the entire frame. But because concrete, we have to polish and grind with a lot of water. It's very messy, so we don't want to install the cement board siding until after the countertop is done with concrete. So depending upon the finishing materials you're using, it dictates the process, the order of how to finish off your island. And there's a lot of good information in the Barbecue Coach members area about how to do that if you use their system. So let's go ahead and get started and start installing the decking board under the bottom of the frame. To begin, we'll have to remove all of our appliances here that we test fitted from the island frame before we continue. We've pulled away the first island here now that we have the decking board installed, so that way we'll be able to install the cement board on the rear and then push it back into place. Same with this one. Once we have this decking board installed, we can slide it out here and install the cement board on the back and on that end. The frame must be covered on all sides with cement board. Cement board adds a lot of strength, vertical strength to your island frame. So it's important to always cover all sides and make it watertight. Now we're installing our first sheet of cement board. You have a lot of choices with cement board. We decided to use 4 foot high by 8 foot long by 1/2 inch thick Durarock panels. The reason why we like the 8 footers is because we have less seams. We can go ahead and do a long section at a time rather than using the other alternative, which is 3 feet by 5 foot sections. Now those are easier to carry, but you'll have more seams. And wherever you have a seam, you have to have 2 studs, one behind the left cement board seam and one behind the right side of the cement board for full strength, so it doesn't flex. Now, once you've made that choice and you're ready to install your cement board here, you have to use a circular saw with a special masonry diamond blade to cut these sheets down to size. And it's helpful to have a large T-square or something to make straight lines before you cut. Now, you're going to need something called Barbecue Coach composite shims here. These are available at some hardware stores or from your local dealer. And these are very important because you need to put them down on the ground here and set your cement board on top of it. And those are doing a couple things. First, they're providing a small gap, air gap, that's going to provide ventilation into your island for safety. The second thing it does with the Barbecue Coach system, it makes the cement board perfectly flush to the top. So if you're using 3 foot by 5 foot panels, it's going to come out perfectly flush to the top. If you're using 4 foot panels, 4 foot by 8 foot panels, you have to cut it down to 36 inches. But that's the nice thing about this system. So now you can also have a third use for this. This is 8 inches long, and you're supposed to install cement board screws every 8 inches along the perimeter frame here on the top and along the bottom. And then we also like to put 2 or 3 screws into the stud here as well, every stud. So that's how you're going to screw your cement board on. Now, there's also an extra way for extra strength to hold the cement board on, and that's called PL Construction Adhesive. This is available at any hardware store. It's an exterior adhesive, and what you would do is with a caulking gun, you would go along your frame and put a bead along the studs and along the top of this track, and that's really going to give you extra strength more than the screws even. So professionals like to even use this as an extra step, and we highly recommend you do that. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll add this and screw it on. Now we're going to go ahead and mark on our cement board where those studs are, so that way it'll be much easier to screw in down the studs. It only takes a few seconds. You just simply look over the back here, you see where your stud is, and mark it on the cement board. Now we're using self-tapping cement board screws from the Barbecue Coach dealer. These are special screws that can penetrate the thick 18 gauge structural steel. You can't use sharp point screws on this, it won't penetrate. Now you can see how we're using the shim as a guide to put screws in every 8 inches. And he would just continue along and screw like that along the top and bottom perimeter, and then up and down three or four screws down the studs like so. And it's that easy. Cement board's very easy to install. Any homeowner can do it. Most people that have completed this project say that the steel frame was the hardest part to put together and everything else was fairly easy. And that the new Pro Panel system is much easier and faster than the module kits in a box where you screw every part together. So this system is very, very good, and it's very easy that homeowners can do it themselves. We definitely prefer the Pro system to make this straight island over the module kits. It was much faster and easier. You can see how these screws are flush with the cement board here. They countersink into the cement board. So that's a very special type of screw. These are hard to find, so it's best to order them from your Barbecue Coach dealer. Sometimes people buy these frame kits and they don't buy the screws, thinking that they can get them at the local hardware store, but many times they can't find them and it delays their project. They have to go back to the dealer again to get the proper screws. So it's best to order your screws with the frames to get the right stuff. So now we're putting a cement board here on the end, and we don't like to waste time, so we just put it flush on that outside end, and we have it on shims, and we just go ahead and take our permanent marker and make a line here on the cement board, and then we'll simply just take this over and cut it on some sawhorses with our circular saw or grinder. It's that easy. You don't have to spend a lot of time measuring here. You just put your cement boards in place, mark it, and cut. Now you can see all of that dust. You should wear breathing protection and safety glasses. Cement board dust is very dangerous to breathe. Close all the windows to your house. And keep the animals and pets and the neighbors away, and wear breathing protection. And if you can have a high-powered fan here to blow the dust away from you. Make sure you read all the warnings from the cement board manufacturer about using their product. Here we're adding the construction adhesive. We just put a nice bead around the framing here, like so. We go up and down on the studs too. It's good to make a nice thick bead here, so that way it's really going to stick to the cement board. There. Now we can go ahead and we'll take our piece of cement board and screw it on here, and we'll have double strength. really feel that glue grabbing onto the cement board. And you can see it up here that it's a nice thick bead to make contact. And when you screw this cement board in, it'll really be tight. Always remember to use those shims when you're screwing your cement board on. You can see how our decking board left a nice gap underneath the frame for water to drain underneath the island and for ventilation, which is very important for safety. Now you're still going to need air vents in this thing, but the more ventilation the better for safety. With your cement board siding on, you're going to have to make your cutouts for your air vents. We like to place an air vent approximately every 4 to 6 feet of island. On L islands like the one we're building here, I would do 3. One over there behind the grill, one in the 90-degree corner, and one down here on the end for good cross-flow ventilation. Now to install your air vents, you take an air vent like this, and we go ahead and we take these shims to make it 8 inches off the ground. Again, another use for your Barbecue Coach composite shims. And that gets it nice and 8 inches off the ground. We look and see where the studs are behind the frame, and we try not to cut into that. And we go ahead and make a line around our vent, like so. Go ahead and pull that off, trace a line here. Now you're going to have to make your cut line about a 1/2 inch in from the inside of this. So you come in here and you just make a line about a 1/2 inch in from the end, or an inch. And then you see where your stud is. You can see from the screws here there's a stud coming down like this. So I'll make sure that this cut line is to the right side of that stud. There's another stud over here coming down like that, so I'm clearing that. And then this will be my cut area. I make X's in it so I don't make a mistake. Now I'll go ahead and put my safety glasses on, gloves, and I'll take my grinder and I'll keep good grip on my grinder. Don't ever let your power tool get away from you. You can get seriously injured. Always read the instructions and warnings from every power tool and product you're going to use on this job so you don't get hurt. And it's that easy to make your vent hole. Now we're not going to install this on right now. We'll put this on later. If you're doing stucco siding, this would go on last over the stucco. If you're doing stone veneer, you would go ahead and screw this on the cement board and bring your stone up around it. But in any case, we're going to do the concrete countertop, which is very messy, so we can't put this on now. We'll save it to the side for later. So now we have all 3 holes cut into our island. One down here on the end, one at the 90-degree area, and we also have one behind the grill here. Now we're going to go ahead and slide these back into position, and then we're going to go ahead and fasten them together from stud to stud with the connector plates to make one long L island frame here. To connect the 2 frames together, we had to unscrew one stud and make it flush to the other island stud here. Both solid sides together on the same side, where we're going to be able to put the connector plates and hold this L island together. See, here's a straight island and there's a straight island. So this is how we make our connection. But first you got to screw the stud back in once you've made it nice and flush here. So we had to pull it apart to be able to screw the stud back on this side. And once we have that completely screwed on both sides, top and bottom, then we can go ahead and slide this one back into place and connect them. So here we have the frames together so they're nice and flush on the top and flush on the backs, so everything lines up. We're installing these connector plates. We'll screw to one side first. We'll put a connector plate near the top and one near the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and screw both of those studs together. locking it in. We put at least three screws or so on each stud, on each side of that connector plate to really hold it together. This makes it very easy to connect your frames together. Also, you can overlap cement board across the seam, which adds extra strength to hold these together as well. You can also come in with a clamp and clamp these rails together and put screws through the rails with a 6R vise clamp for even more strength. So you can really make a nice strong connection very easily with this barbecue coach system. Yeah, and there's a look at the final job with all the screws holding it together. Perfect. Look at how easy those self-tapping screws going. No pre-drilling, no rivets. It's so easy, this system, for the average homeowner to do it themselves, or even for contractors to save a lot of labor. This is a really great system that from the Barbecue Coach. It's going very smooth so far. And there we have the grill cut out. And we always keep the pets inside for safety. Now we have it installed here. We're going to put our screws in to secure it. We have a nice grill cut out here. It's really coming along fast here. We've been out here a couple hours on a Sunday, and plus the time to make these videos, it would have been even faster. So we're doing really good here.